For our second dish this evening, we're going to be doing our mussels. So what I have going here is a really nice good stock. I'm also going to put some fresh thyme in that stock as well. I also have a little bit of black pepper in there. And I'm going to let that simmer for a few minutes. And so our mussels, there again, have already been washed and cleaned. The beards have been pulled off. And so our mussels are ready to go into our broth here in a second. So there again, we want to just put them in just for a few seconds. As soon as they start to open, we want to take them out so they don't get really rubbery and tough to eat. So we have our broth going on. We can see it moving a little bit. And we're going to cover those up just quickly. And it's almost like a steaming kind of technique that we're going to do. So before we do that, I did put in some more vegetables here. I have some more purple onions, a little bit of a carrot, and some celery. And I'm just going to add those in there as well. And that's going to help fortify that stock. And we can add some of those also into the dish to give it a little bit more color. Obviously, if this is served, most of the time it's served with some type of toast or toast points. So that's that simmering there. You can smell the nice rich aroma. I'm also going to add a little bit of white wine, and you can do that if you don't need to do that if you don't want to, but it also brings out the sweetness. But there again, trying to watch the salt content and salinity on that. So now our vegetables are simmering well. Got a nice good confection in the bottom of this pot. So in they go. We're going to quickly cover them and just take a minute to let them open. Let some of that nice broth steep them a little bit, and then we're going to quickly go. So this would be something you would cook to order. Obviously, you would not want to cook it ahead of time and have it sit. Just a few minutes. You can see they're already starting to open. Beautiful mussels. So as soon as they get, and there are many different types of mussels as well. Not very expensive either. So, as we said, we do not want them to get overcooked. So we'll go ahead and pull these out. Good southern dish, something you would probably have down here near the coast. Just turn this down. I don't want it to get too hot. Just get it to a nice small simmer. The mussels should be nice, kind of orange looking. Always want to serve these in a bowl too. You're going to have a lot of liquid that's going to run off, and it's a nice rich liquid. And you can see they're nice and opened. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to keep these really close here to the stove. I'm going to turn up the heat just a little bit. I'm going to kind of reduce this. Now, by reducing this liquid, what it's going to do is going to enrich it. Obviously, the more it reduces, the richer it's going to be. I'm also going to melt in a little bit of butter. And you can reduce this by half, a third, just depending on how rich you want it. Nice, good velvety Has very good aroma. I can smell the white wine coming up from the broth. So we're going to turn it down a little bit. We're going to go ahead and I can pull out the nice thyme twigs. I can actually use those if I want. Go ahead and put on some of the vegetables as it's still continuing to reduce a little bit. That'll give it some color. You can smell the broth. Like I said, it's nice and rich and getting as it reduces. Now I'm going to take a little bit of this broth. We're going to lightly pour over these mussels. It's a rich broth. If I want, I can go back with some smaller pieces of thyme. Tear a piece off. And put on. So, we have our mussels lightly steamed in a nice, good, rich broth with some white wine, thyme, and some vegetables. So for our last seafood dish this evening, we'll be doing our oysters, our beautiful, nice select oysters, locally harvested. And I always like to spice them up a little bit. There's a lot of different types of techniques you can do. You can roast them, you can actually eat them raw. But this is one of my techniques that I like. So what I've done, I've taken some baby spinach and lightly blanched it. So, and I'm going to just kind of pulse it a little bit in the Roboku. And just so it'll be easier to work with. Put a little bit of salt and pepper in it. Just to taste, like I said, I don't really want to compromise the flavor of those oysters. So just quickly kind of pulse. I don't really want it to be too pureed. Just kind of get it chopped up enough to work with. Also, for a little extra creaminess, I'm going to add some cream cheese. And that would just help smooth it out, but it won't be overpowering. Don't want this cream cheese to overpower the entire dish. So we'll add that in and kind of work that in a little bit. Kind of pulse that in. It's looking good. Another quick pulse. Okay. Now we can take this over to our oysters. I have the oven set at about 400 degrees. So let's go ahead and work some of this baby spinach cream cheese mixture on top of the oyster. It's going to give it some nice creamy texture. Also, it will give obviously some flavor, but I don't think it's going to be too overwhelming. So I don't want it to compromise the flavor of those oysters. There again, we harvest most of our oysters here in the South, doing the most with an R when it's nice and cold. There again, being a part of the mollusk family. So we're gonna pop these in the oven at 400 degrees for just about 3 or 4 minutes. There again, I don't want to overcook them because they again will become really chewy, and we want the tenderness of the oyster as well as that brine that's in the bottom of that oyster to stand out. So we don't want to overcook these. Okay, the oysters are about ready to come out of the oven. We still have some juices retained in the oysters, which is really nice, just what we wanted. So let's go ahead and move them on to our plate. Remember how many we can fit on. Now, as a last little topper I like to do is I have a little zesty mixture I've made, like a little salsa. It's a little bit of heat to it, but not much. And we're going to put that on there, just simply put that on there as a little topper. It's going to give color. It's also going to provide a little bit more flavor from the subtleness of the cream cheese. Have a little garlic in there, some cilantro, a little bit of jalapeno. And so there you have it. Oysters from the Low Country prepared with the spinach, cream cheese, and topped with just a little bit of salsa. I hope you enjoyed our seafood dishes, our Low Country favorites here this evening. Just kind of want to recap what we have made for you. So we have our traditional shrimp and grits. That's very popular in the South and very popular now all over the country, really. Made with our sweet peppers, a little bit of Parmesan cheese, and some stone ground yellow grits, along with a little bit of shrimp broth, fortified with a little bit of butter, just to enrich that flavor. Also, we have our oysters, with baby spinach, with a little bit of cream cheese, topped with a little bit of salsa. There again, retaining the liquid, the nice, good, briny liquid that you would expect in a Low Country oyster, which is a favorite. Setting on a little plate of rock salt to help hold steady, and give it really good, nice attraction. And then lastly, our mussels, lightly steeped in a little bit of broth as well. You can see the beautiful color with some julienne vegetables, a little bit of thyme, reducing the broth with a little bit of white wine, and obviously at the end, a little bit of just a few pieces of toast to help get that nice, good liquid off the bottom. Very, very good Low Country favorite. Lastly, I would again like to thank Ecolab for help sponsoring the videos, and also South Carolina Restaurant and Lodging Association, allowing us, the staff here at the Culinary Institute of the South, to bring these videos to you.